Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Michelle Allen. I am an organizer with Food and Water Watch here in Florida. We've gathered here today because tomorrow in Tallahassee, our Florida senators and the Appropriations Committee will be voting on a bill that would lay down a welcome mat to the oil and gas industry to frack Florida. Senate Bill 318 is a smokescreen that would do little to protect Floridians from the dangers of fracking. This bill includes major loopholes that greatly favor the oil and gas industry. First is the omission of language that would regulate acidization, which is the form of fracking that has been used in Florida before and of course is most likely to be used here again. Leaving out the definition of acidization means that the one-year study, the moratorium, and the regulations on fracking that would come out of this bill won't include acidization, allowing the oil and gas industry to use that form of fracking completely unregulated, and that's simply unacceptable. We know that Senator Lee works hard to protect Florida's communities, and we certainly do appreciate that he has held off on hearing this bill in his Appropriations Committee until experts were ready to provide honest answers. But right now we need Senator Lee to stand with the 80 municipalities across the state that have taken a stance in opposing this legislation, including Terrace and Hillsborough County. And we need Senator Lee to stand with the thousands of Floridians that have spoken out on this issue, and we need him to vote no on Senate Bill 318. But I'd like to go ahead now and conclude by introducing our next speakers. First, we are going to have Jennifer Rubiello, which is the State Director for Environment Florida.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Rubiello. I'm the State Director with Environment Florida. We're a statewide, citizen-supported environmental advocacy group working to protect clean air, clean water, and open space. Today, as the fight over fracking heats up in Florida, our message is clear. Senate Bill 318, the pro-fracking bill that is speeding through the legislature, is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's a failure for our environment and our health. Local communities don't want fracking in Florida, and that's why we need our senators to listen to the folks back home and keep this dirty drilling away from our drinking water and out of Florida. Now, already over 80 cities and counties have passed resolutions, have passed ordinances, have sent letters in opposition to fracking and to Senate Bill 318, recognizing the danger that fracking poses to our environment and our health and our economy as well. In fact, over half of Floridians live in a city or county or municipality that has passed some kind of resolution or ordinance against fracking within their own jurisdiction. Yet this pro-fracking legislation really ties the hands of many local elected officials who want to protect their citizens. Not only would municipalities be unable to ban fracking within their own jurisdiction and borders, they also wouldn't be able to pass any ordinances that would inordinately burden the gas industry. So this is a huge giveaway to the oil and gas industry. Now again, we are here because Senate Bill 318, the pro-fracking bill, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, more than ever, we need our state senators to stand with the 80 municipalities that have said no to fracking and the thousands of people who don't want this in our state, including the city of Terrace right here, the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, and we need our state senators to vote no on Senate Bill 318. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. And next we have Kent Bailey. Kent Bailey is the chair of the Tampa Bay group for the Sierra Club.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out on this very stormy morning. Yesterday, we heard once again from climate experts who told the world what we in Tampa Bay have known for some time. The sea level is rising. It's rising faster than we thought. It's rising faster than it has ever risen before, but not yet as fast as it will be rising if we do not take steps right now to reduce carbon pollution. The response from our legislature has been very disappointing. Senate Bill 318 has come forward, a pernicious piece of legislation that greases the skids for fracking in Florida, hides the content of the toxic cocktail that will be injected beneath our water supply, and prevents responsible local governments, such as Terrace, from preventing unknown, unwanted, and unnecessary risks to the health and safety of their citizens. Instead of moving forward with legislation that would tear down this wall that protects fossil fuel utilities from honest, free market competition, the legislature, instead of moving forward with legislation that will allow the development of solar energy in Florida, instead of creating tens of thousands of jobs by shifting from fossil fuel to a renewable energy economy, Senate Bill 318 protects the extraction of fossil fuels in Florida, denies Floridians the right to control their own communities, increases carbon pollution, and ignores the defining issue of the 21st century, which is climate change and sea level rise. So as the seas are rising, so are the citizens. We are not going to quietly accept mandates from Tallahassee that threaten our communities and our children. We will be watching very carefully tomorrow's vote. We will not forget, and we will be very slow to forgive, a vote that puts special interest ahead of the best interest of Florida's citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker, we have Lois Kirchner. Lois is a constituent of Senator Lee, who's the chairman for the Appropriations Committee. And Lois is also part of the Temple Terrace Garden Club.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you all for coming in this weather. Anyway, as Michelle said, I'm Lois Kirchner. I'm from Brandon, but I want to start by talking about the Temple Terrace Garden Club that I'm a member of. The Temple Terrace Garden Club is part of the Florida Federated Garden Clubs, and it is a very diverse group with over 12,000 members statewide. And they are not a political organization, but they do take stands on issues that are bad for our environment. And in January 14, 2015, they issued a position statement on ban hydraulic fracking in Florida. You can find it on the website, ffgc.org, and it is a very complete piece of legislation. Now, I'd like to talk from a personal standpoint as having lived in Florida for over 30 years. And first of all, I want to thank Tom Lee for taking some additional time to look at Bill SB 318 and really understand what the whole meat of that bill is. That will be helpful, hopefully, in him making a decision and the other senators. I would like to tell a personal story just to make you aware of some of the things we're hearing. A week ago today, about 4:30, I called a senator's office. It was not Senator Lee's office, but it's a senator on the Appropriations Committee to check on something I had heard about Amendment 1 and the monies being generated where the citizens had wanted. So after the conversation with the aide about the Amendment 1 issue, I happened to ask what the senator's position was on fracking, even though he was on my list on the Appropriations Committee as having said he is supporting 318. And the aide said, the senator is totally against fracking. So there was this pause as I was gathering my thoughts as to exactly how should I respond, and she drew a breath and she said, but he is supporting 318 because fracking is happening in Florida and he feels that it needs to be regulated. Before I thanked her for her information and being so cordial, I left the message for the senator that if we 100% ban fracking, we won't have to worry about regulations and the effect on the environment. So I'm asking you, when you hear conversations, ask the right questions. Find out, are people, there's been a lot of op-ed pieces about regulating fracking. Let's look at it and let's ban fracking 100% so that we don't have to take a chance. We live in the Sunshine State. Look at the things that we have available. We have solar, we have wind, we have wave, we have other sources of energy, and let's use our resources, our entrepreneurship to go those directions. Anyway, please tell your friends to contact their friends, to have the senators ask the senators to ban legislation, Senate Bill 318, to ban the regulation of fracking. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. That concludes our press conference. At least a couple of our speakers, though, are available to stick around for individual interviews. Thank you for being here.